Okay, good morning and good evening. Welcome everybody to today's event. Today we are going to discuss what I believe is really an important topic from various perspectives, and we will discuss some of those perspectives as we go along. There are a lot of impacts, social, religious, spiritual, political, so on and so forth, and we are going to discuss some of those. As many of you know, casteism has become really a hot topic in India these days. Not just in India, but even for Indians abroad, there is a lot of discussion, lot of discrimination, lot of comments, and so on and so forth based on casteism in India. Unfortunately, when you talk about India, first thing that pops up is casteism. Also, in various schools, especially schools in abroad, when they talk about Indian heritage, Indian culture, and so on, casteism becomes the main focus. And it is not just that they talk about casteism, but it is very malicious thing that they talk about, and it has become a very sweet target for a lot of criticism in various different aspects. Also within India, it plays a very important role in discrimination, in dividing the society, and so on and so forth. So we are going to discuss some aspects related to casteism, where it came from, what it means, where it stands today, and what challenges are there today. So we'll just dive deep into the topic. As I was discussing, it is very relevant because of the social structure, social issues, political issues that we are facing all across. We all need to know about it. Not just we all need to know about casteism, but we also need to know what it means, where it comes from, and what can we do at an individual level or at a group level. Many of us might be members of different groups, different organizations. So what can we do? Is there anything we can do? Also, there are two distinct aspects about this division, not necessarily casteism in that context, but this division, and it goes along what is described or prescribed in our scriptures, especially Sanatan or Hindu scriptures, versus how the society evolved, what society started following, and so on. So we are going to discuss some of those aspects as well as we go along. And at any time, if you have questions, feel free to post your questions in the chat box and I'll try to answer those. Before we touch casteism, there is even more underlying aspect of religion. Really speaking, in Sanatan aspect, in Sanatan culture, there is no concept of religion. There is a concept of Dharma. We always think that religion is English translation of word Dharma, but that is not correct. There is no equivalent word for Dharma in many other languages. Okay, so religion is basically established by one person, and there are followers who worship that person, respect that person, follow his dictated terms or rules, and so on. So it is more focused on following a person or philosophy of a person, and that is what religion is. Whereas Dharma doesn't have very clearly written do's and don'ts. There are certain do's, there are certain don'ts, but most areas, most aspects are gray. And those are gray not in negative sense, but those are very context specific decisions that we have to make. The word Dharma comes from Sanskrit root dhatu called dhru or dharayate, which means upholding. And it goes in both ways. Dharma is a belief system that we uphold, and Dharma is a belief system that upholds us. It goes both ways. So it is not necessarily following written rules dictated by one person, but it is inherent nature of reality, it is inherent nature of human, and whatever is required to protect and guard the society, the nature, the humanity, whatever actions are required, those all fall under dharma. Again, we will not go into details, there can be a separate talk just on dharma and what dharma means. But important thing is, some religious rules will say thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. Yes, in general context those are right things, but dharma will never say you should not kill. There might be a need to kill some bad tendencies, some bad people, some bad aspects in the society, and that is approved by dharma. If there is a need to protect society or protect innocent people by lying, then yes, dharma allows you to lie. Whereas religion has a very strict black and white rules. Okay, and again, we won't go into too many details. Some of you must have heard of some stories and examples around that. But we'll move on. We heard this word caste and casteism. So what is caste? Caste is not really a word of Bharat origin. Okay, it came with Britishers, and it is originally it comes from Portuguese or Spanish origin, which in simple words it means caste. It means class. So caste is a class, and then in various societies there were classes of people. Those were upward class, backward class, upper class, lower class, so on and so forth, and that was brought and enforced on Indian society. Now, when we talk about social aspects, it is important to know that many of us believe that Indian caste system was enforced by Britishers. And if I look at it from the word caste, then yes, it was enforced by Britishers, no doubt about it. But the social structure still existed before Britishers. The social grouping and social discrimination did exist before Britishers. Maybe it was not as prominent, maybe it was not as disruptive, and Britishers did take advantage of that to enforce or implement their divide and rule policy, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, now very beginning, the first time the word caste was used by colonial Christian missionaries or colonial movements was in mid 1800s. Okay, then further they divided on themselves Indian society as upper class and lower class. Now, really speaking, if you ask them or if you find any references, what is the definition of upper class and what is the lower definition of lower caste? Lower caste and upper caste, or lower class and upper class? There is no really a hard definition. The definition was very simple from Britishers' perspective. Anybody who presents higher risk or more opposition to British ruling, that is called upper class or upper caste. And those who are relatively easy to control, relatively easy to, for lack of better words, misguide, were considered as lower caste. Now, this also becomes very important to understand that when Britishers entered into country, they knew that at some point, they did not know when, but at some point they will have to leave. They knew that. But their strategy right from beginning, and it is in writing in their documentation, their strategy from beginning was, if I have to control a huge dynasty like India with handful people from Britain, it cannot be done in any other way but by leaving them divided. And then they did every possible thing to divide the society. You have heard about Aryans and Dravidians. There is no such distinction anywhere, but they introduced and enforced that, and we started believing in that and started following that, right? Similarly, there are a lot of caste related things which did not exist. Lot of things did exist, but it became worse from British time. it is important now to address, because now it is becoming a hate brand towards Indian society or Indian culture in general. Especially when you go outside India, people talk about, oh, India, that means caste system, or Hindus, oh, that you have castes. That's the only thing, or that's the first thing they know about Hinduism. There are thousands of other good things that they can know, they can find out, they can learn, but it was never made popular or never published in general society except the caste system. The caste system in India today, if you consider the domestic aspects within India, there is a very high hate rate between different castes. Now it is important to understand that this hatred is not just between upper class and lower class, or upper caste and lower caste. Within lower caste also you will see discrimination and hatred. Within few SC categories or NT categories, there are, again, various castes and subcastes, and they look down upon each other. Within upper class or upper caste, there are different castes and they look down upon each other. So it is not a just a problem of lower caste and upper caste. Within that caste, there are subcastes and they all look down upon each other, and that is becoming really, really severe problem. Most of the times, the so-called lower caste, and again, there is no clear definition of what is lower caste, but whatever that definition is, but that so-called lower caste always uses a term that we were abused by upper caste. Now, if you see the last point on the slide, before Britishers entered in India, there were more than 560, more than 560 principalities, and many of those, more than 400 of those, were ruled by Shudra rulers. So Shudras were in ruling capacity and they were rulers. Okay, but when Britishers left, all the assets that they had, they were transferred to churches. And during that process, the Britishers also instilled a hatred between various castes and various groups within India. You must have heard this famous joke from African region, that when Britishers entered in Africa, the African people say that when they entered, we had land and they had Bible. They gave us Bible, they asked us to close our eyes. When we opened our eyes, we had Bible, they had our lands. And that was the exact strategy. This British invasion or European invasions have destroyed cultures. We don't hear about anything about South American culture, Native American culture, and so many other cultures are completely wiped out. And now they have audacity to call those as myths. And that is another threat that we have, that if we continue to get strangled in this casteism, there is a big threat that we will destroy our own culture. What really existed before Britishers, which they tried to equate to caste, is Jati. Now what is Jati? Jati is different than caste. When Britishers came, there was no equivalent word for Jati. So if they just used caste as a equivalent term for Jati, it was not a big issue. But we will see that they did not do that, they did not stop at that. So what is Jati? Jati indicates, the Ja indicates Janma. So Jati is typically followed by birth or defined by birth. And Jati system was so beautiful, it allowed people to perfect their skills over generations. So if I am born in, let's say, goldsmith family, then my parents would teach me all the skills that they knew, that they have acquired, and I will add on to that and become even wonderful goldsmith and pass on that enhanced skill to my next generation and so on. And that happened in every different Jati, so to say. Now this Jati was mostly defined by profession and not by strictly by birth, but eventually, as you can imagine, kids of a pot maker will learn pottery in early age and they can become experts in that, and if there is a established institution, established business that they can get their arms around, then they will end up becoming pot makers and continue that pottery, and then eventually it became birth based system, which it is not, it was not meant to be. Okay, so again this whole concept has lot of nitty-gritties, lot of insights, but we are not going to go into too many details. Important thing to again understand that this Jati based discrimination also existed. Now how it came about? It did not come about with the intent of discrimination. It is very important to understand that yes, it became like that eventually as a social structure, but it was not intended that way. What it means, I will give a simple example that there are certain temples where everybody is not allowed to enter, or people from different jati are not allowed to enter. Now we just know that people from different jati are not allowed to enter, and we just start making a noise about it. Yes, restricting temple entry for anybody is bad. I am not at all supporting that, but there are so many temples where in the garbhagriha of the temple, where the actual god idol or statue or whatever the core part of the temple, even Brahmins are not allowed to enter. Did you know that? You need to observe strict penance, strict celebration, strict eating habits for certain period to qualify to enter into that temple or that area in the temple, even if you are Brahmin by birth. Now we don't know that, we don't know what the reason was. Yes, of course it got polluted over years, I am not denying the fact, but it is not a blind hatred that led to this kind of discrimination. Right? If there is a person, okay, who is responsible for sweeping the roads, for example, sweeping the streets in the city, then obviously while he is sweeping the streets in the city, you will not entertain that person to come in your house when he is in that dirty state. And that is where, you know, that distance got built, and then it continued and it got you know, it increased, and then it became more discriminative. It was not meant to be that way. Yes, while he is not clean, you will not like him to enter in your house or certain parts of your house, but of course when he goes, takes shower, cleans himself up, then he is clean, he can come in your house, right? But that second aspect eventually dropped off, and just it became that okay, he is of certain caste and he is not allowed to enter house of another person's caste, or house of person with another caste. Again, this is not within upper caste and lower caste. There are still villages where even upper caste people don't enter each other's house, or lower caste people, they don't enter houses of other castes, even if they are both so-called lower caste people. Okay, now this is nurtured by current political structure, because if I give certain benefits to certain group, it becomes my secure vote bank. And that strategy which Britishers employed, it's still continuing, unfortunately, but it is still there, and people are taking advantage of that and building their vote banks or whatever. Also, unfortunately again, but these so-called low caste people, they are getting lot of benefits from government, and I'm not at all against giving benefits to people who need help, right? But when it becomes strictly birth based, strictly caste based, strictly jati based, and so on, then it gets taken advantage of. So now today, if I go to some person who is so to say lower caste, and who is entitled for certain benefits offered by government, I tell him, okay, I will help you get converted to Kshatriya or Brahmin or some so to say upper caste. He immediately says, no, then I lose my reservations. right? I lose benefits. I have X% of reservation in various government organizations. So it is kind of engraved into everybody's thinking, everybody's mentality, and people, for their selfish benefit, continue to take advantage of us as society. And that is where the real problem is. That is where they induce that hatred. That is where they further divide the society in groups. That is where they keep telling one caste or one society that your other society did such and such thing for you, they abused you, they accused you, they destroyed you, whatever things they say. Now today, if you ask any, so to say, low caste person or lower caste person, hey, were you ever discriminated? Especially in urban areas, the answer will be no. They were never denied entry anywhere. They were never discriminated. They never got, thrown out or abused or anything. But still that mentality got engraved over the generations. And same about upper caste. They are not different. That superiority complex was engraved in their mind and told them again and again and again that you are superior, you are different, you are better. But no, it is not. So what Britishers really did is they combined this Jaati concept with Varna and kind of polluted the whole system. Now the Jati Vyavastha, that discrimination, the birth-based things, it is a social structure. It is not prescribed in any of the scriptures. What our scriptures prescribe is Varna, and Varna is purely based on your profession, your aptitude, what you're supposed to do, what you're expected to do, what you choose to do, how much education you acquire, what is your focus in life, what is your goal in life, and so on and so forth. And there is again a detailed description available, detailed qualifications are documented for anybody to qualify in any specific Varna. Varna system is not hierarchical. It is not that Brahmins are great and Kshatriyas are lesser important and Vaishyas are even lesser and Shudras have no value. It is nowhere defined in that way. Also, lot of people have further polluted this Varna Vyavastha by introducing fifth Varna called untouchable or Dalit or Achut or whatever different terms they use, which again never existed. This is again a term coined by different people for their selfish benefits. There is no mention of Pancham Varna anywhere. Yes, there was a practice of, so to say, outcast or out of the society or things like that, but that was more like a punishment. When somebody really misbehaved in the society, there was a need to isolate that person from society, to protect the society, and also for that person to realize that the implications of his misbehavior are pretty severe. So he or she or that entire family was sent out of the main city or main society and asked to live in isolation till they realize their mistake and they accept their mistake and go through that punishment and come back. That was the concept. It was applicable for any Varna. It was not restricted to any specific Varna or only Shudras or any such thing. That is a complete myth that is built over years, and now we are believing in it as if it is truth. Okay. So coming back to some of our scriptures and recommended system in scriptures. So our scriptures recommend or suggest or describe 4 Varnas. Okay, Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Now these are 4 Varnas based on what their aptitude and profession is. If you look at this kind of quadrants, 4 quadrants, it will be very clear. On the right hand side, if you see, that is focus of people, focus of those families or those individuals is on empowering the society. Whereas on the left side, there is a focus on servicing the society. Is one greater than other? No. It is both the aspects are equally important. It is important to empower the society also and service the society also. And if you look at top, it is focus on intellectual knowledge, intellectual strength, and the bottom is physical strength. And if you do that intersection, you get 4 different categories, and those are 4 different varnas that are described in some of the religious, so to say, religious literature. So what do Brahmins do? Brahmins focus on intellect and they empower society. That means their desire is more towards acquiring supreme knowledge, guiding the society, teaching the society, educating the society in different aspects. Whereas there is another class on the left top is Vaishya, where again they are intelligent people, but their focus is not to educate people or acquire higher knowledge. Their focus is wealth oriented and servicing the society by making various services and products and goods available to a society. So it is focus is on intelligence, but the other aspect is more of serving the society. If you come on lower left quadrant, then that category is Shudra, where their focus is on service using their physical strength. So they do all kinds of service in the society. And on the right hand side, again it is empowerment and protection of the society with physical strength, which is Kshatriya. Now this was again very clearly defined, and I'm giving you a quick overview, but there are very detailed definitions of what constitutes somebody to be a Brahmin versus Kshatriya versus Shudra or Vaishya, whatever. Also, if you are Vaishya and you want to become Kshatriya, it is possible because it is not defined by birth. If you are Shudra, you want to become Brahmin, it is possible. In fact, if you look at our ancient history, lot of rishis came from all different varnas. Lot of sages, maharshis, they came from all different varnas. Right? So it is not restricted that you are born as Brahmin and then only you can become Brahmin. No, you can give up your Vaishya Swabha, Vaishya Vasanas, Vaishya education, acquire different kind of skill set, acquire different kind of intellect, acquire different kind of education and become Kshatriya, become Brahmin, become Vaishya, whatever you desire to be. And it was absolutely possible and it was absolutely demonstrated in the society. There are a lot of references about this Chaturvarna or 4 varnas, and those are people just partially read it and misinterpret it. So in Bhagavad Gita there are references about Varna Vyavastha, and first part it says Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam is what Bhagavan Krishna says, which he says that I have created these 4 categories, and people who want to take advantage of that and misinterpret that, they just stop there, Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam, and they they intentionally ignore the second half, which is Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. It doesn't say Janmashaha. So this 4-pronged society I have created myself based on different aptitudes, characteristics and focuses and services that different people provide to the society. Okay. Then again further down it says Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi. So it clearly says Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi. So it is these 4 varnas are acquired in accordance to their guna. Even the first verse says Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. What are gunas? Again, it will become very lengthy discussion if we get into gunas and related aspects. There are 4 guna, we know Sattvic, Rajasic, 3 gunas, Sattvic, Tamasic and Rajasic. So if you combine those with different aspects of human life, then you have even more combinations. And then if you combine that with 4 ashram, then it becomes even more complicated. But the important thing is there was a clear definition, clear important information available to guide people about the Varna Vyavastha. and nowhere it says it is by birth. The most misinterpreted reference is from Purusha Sukta, where it says Brahmanosya mukhamasit bahu rajanyah krutah uru tadasya yad vaishyah padbhyagam shudro ajayata. That means from that Parama Purusha, from that, so to say, God is the wrong word here, but for simplicity of understanding, from the mouth of that God, Brahmins came, from his arms Kshatriyas came, from his thighs Vaishya came, and from his feet Shudra came. Now this is the order in which it is described. Like when you describe a person, you say head to toe. Now when you say head to toe, does that mean head is important and toes are not important? No, it is just sequence in which you describe something without giving more importance to one part over the other part. Now here people misinterpret and say, no, they have said Brahmin first, that means Brahmins are important, and then Kshatriya, then Vaishya and Shudras are not important at all. There is no such mention anywhere. In fact, I have written a book, and you can watch few other videos on YouTube where I have elaborated on this specific mantra in Purusha Sukta, what it really means. This mantra does not talk about Varna Vyavastha at all. This mantra comes before the human society was established on earth. It is a description of previous stage. So this is not related to Varna Vyavastha, but people still misinterpret this as Varna Vyavastha and try to attach hierarchy to that and try to misinterpret and misrepresent our scriptures. I strongly urge you that you buy that book, which is available on Amazon. You will see the name, and read this specific explanation about this mantra, and then there is a entire appendix dedicated to this topic in that book. What our scriptures really tell us? Our scriptures say, Skanda Puran clearly says, Janmana Jayate Shudra. By birth, everybody is Shudra. Because what is Shudra? Shudra is, it is still focused on various activities. And when a child is born, he is only focused on activities. He is not focused on intellect, on physical strength and doing some business, nothing. Just day-to-day activities. When I am hungry, I want some food. That's it. That's all the baby knows. So all those characteristics that baby exhibits are Shudra characteristics. So it is clearly said that by birth everybody is Shudra, and based on the teachings, based on the samskara, based on the aptitude, based on the profession that they choose, they become Dvija and acquire different profession. In Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, there is a discussion between Bharadwaj Rishi and Bhrigu Rishi, where again there is a question that if all people have same flesh, same blood, the same vasanas, same food they eat, then what is the difference? Why is there discrimination? And then the Maharshi provides clarification that there is no difference. There is no difference between different humans. It is just grouping based on what they choose to decide, what their vasanas, what their tendencies are, what their profession is, what their focus is, and so on and so forth. That's all that defines their varna. So there are so many so much information available. We purposely ignore that. We intentionally ignore that and use misinterpretation to create division in the society. We all are getting impacted because of that. As I said, there is a huge threat to our overall culture, overall existence. How many of we know that there was a rich culture in South America? No, it is completely wiped with similar strategies. As a society, it is important for us to wake up and understand that this Jaati Vyavastha, this Varna Vyavastha, this so-called caste system is not built or designed to discriminate between humans. It is built to support the society. You will be surprised that, and again you can find this, if you want you can message me and I'll give you some specific references, but pre-British era the social structure was the Brahmins were more respected and people used to take their advice seriously. So the highest opposition Britishers faced was from Brahmins. They will not accept Christian ideology or in general British colonial ideology, and they will not let their society follow that ideology. And if a Brahmin who is respected in the society says no to something, nobody would do it. And that's the reason Britishers hated Brahmins, and they targeted Brahmins as most important target for this discrimination. And then they poisoned that entire social structure, saying Brahmins are taking advantage of you. And again, there are Brahmins, there were incidents, there were social aspects where Brahmins did take advantage, but it was not the way it is today, where it is anti-Brahmin, anti-upper caste, or this whole caste system the way it is presented today. It is time for us to wake up, understand, be aware of it, and protect our culture and protect our society. Again, as I mentioned, I have written a book. The context of the book is a little bit different, but there is a detailed explanation of one of the mantra in Purusha Sukta, and a detailed appendix that talks about this Varna Vyavastha and what it meant and where it is today. So again, those who are interested, you can definitely read the book. It is available on Amazon, or if you visit my website, you will get more sources where you can acquire that book. And here there are some of the contact details if you want to follow up, if you have any questions, any discussion you want to have, specific topics you want me to address, then you can definitely reach out to me and I'll be more than happy. Maybe there are some aspects which I don't know, and you can educate me on that, you can inform me on that, and I will correct my future discussions based on that. But with that, this is what I wanted to cover. Again, lot of topics can be discussed in great length, in great details, but my intention today was to give you a quick gist, quick overview, and trigger that thought process in you. And I sincerely hope that I was able to accomplish that. With that, I'll stop. I will be online for a few more minutes. If anybody has questions, please put your questions in chat and we'll try to address those questions. Thank you, everyone.